What's up, everybody? Chase Chats here, hopping on after the Purdue basketball victory over Penn State today, 95-78. Purdue gets back in the win column. I did a show the other night. I said, I think it was when Illinois and Michigan State were playing. I said, I think Purdue will win this game by 20 or 30. And with the starters in there today, that's the lead that they carried and had for the majority of the game today. Obviously, had a lot of guys scoring. I get the numbers pulled up here, looking at Purdue. Obviously, Zach went 30 and 20. Tremendous performance. The second 30-20 game of his career is last year. He had 31 and 22 at Mackey against Minnesota. You have four guys and the three guys in the starting lineup go double figures. Lance Jones chips in 14, Fletcher Lawyer 11, Zach, like I said, 30 and 20. Braden Smith ties his career high or got his career high off the check, 11 assists today. And then had a lot of guys contribute off the bench. Camden Heide comes in, gives you 8. He's been tremendous for Purdue. He's starting to really add something to the team in regards to just being ready. He can defend. He's very athletic. He's got a great looking shot. He had a couple 3 balls go down, made some free throws. Then Caleb First gives you 7. Mason Gillis gives you 7. And Miles Colvin gives you 7. If you get that kind of production outside of Zach, no matter where the game is, that's going to be a tough and difficult team to beat. Today, like I expected, I thought Purdue would bounce back after the loss. Everybody has avalanche games like that where everything went right for Nebraska the other night. It's how you respond. At this level, it's all about response. And I thought today Purdue had a tremendous response to what happened the other night. You get back on your home court, paint crew's there for the game, and you just take care of business. And Purdue did that today. I thought Penn State did some good things. They like the pressure. It's kind of been a style of a team that's given Purdue problems in the past. This year's team hasn't had as much problem with handling full court pressure, but it kind of did rear its ugly head a little bit there in the first half, with Penn State being able to get up and pressure and force some turnovers in the backcourt. But I thought Purdue settled in, and once they settled in, that really wasn't an issue as the game kind of progressed. Shot the 3 ball really well. A lot of guys you saw get threes down today, 95 points. And if the starters go and your main rotation goes, it's probably up in the 110, 115 area today. Scoring clip for the Boilermakers of Purdue. Purdue improves to 15 and 2, 4 and 2 in the conference. Just a great season so far, and the wins they've had, I think, is going to help them on Monday when the AP rankings come out. With Purdue losing to Nebraska, Houston lost, Kansas lost, and Tennessee lost. UConn did win against Xavier. I would not be shocked to see UConn number 1 tomorrow, Purdue number 2. But with this performance and all the quad 1 wins and top 10 wins that the Boilermakers have, I would anticipate Purdue to be number 1 on Monday, worst case scenario, number 2. And then we turn our attention to Tuesday. Right now, you're heading into Assembly Hall. You were swept by Purdue. Purdue was swept by Indiana last year. Huge game. IU's 4-2 in the league. Purdue's 4-2 in the league. You're going to their home court where they play, a higher brand of basketball compared to when they go on the road, just like every other team in the Big Ten. So Purdue's going to have to be ready. And from the jump, because when you go in road games like this, if you think back to the game last year at Assembly Hall, Indiana instantly jumped on Purdue from the get-go, getting out in the open court, dunks, getting that crowd involved, hitting the 3 balls at a high clip. And that's what Purdue's got to avoid on Tuesday night. Purdue's got to come out early, get Zach the ball. I know last year Coach Woodson tried to play Zach one-on-one a little bit. This year he's going to try to throw a lot of different bodies at Zach. They don't have Trace Jackson or Race anymore, but they do have Malik Renew, who's taken a big jump. Khalil Ware, transfer from Oregon, is an NBA style talent. He can step out and shoot. He's going to try to pull Zach away from the basket. I think he had 17 and 14. I did watch their game against Minnesota last night. He's a really good player. So it's going to be a contrast in styles because Purdue is going to try to get Khalil Ware buried on the block and get Zach the ball and get him in foul trouble and make him lean on Zach and make it difficult for him to have his legs under him on offense. And then Indiana is going to do the opposite of that. They're going to try to do a lot of pick and pop, have Ware trail in behind plays, play from 15 out, and pull Zach away and wear Zach out on defense. So that's going to be interesting to watch on Tuesday night. And then Malik Renew has taken a huge jump for Indiana. He is very good. I mean, if you let him get to his left hand and let him get to his sweet spots on the court, he's a bucket, and he's someone that Purdue's going to have to really key in on. He'll be number 1, number 2 on their scouting report in regards to keeping him in check to his average or less, and then try to wear down, getting Zach deep, getting some dives. If they do double, have the 4s ready in the dunker spot. Last year, I thought what beat Purdue in those games was guard play. Zach in each game, I think at the game at Assembly, like 33 and 18. in a game at Mackey had like 25 and 16. So I think Zach will get his, but Indiana's going to try to stop everybody else, right? Um, so guys like Braden Smith and Fletcher are going to have to be ready to handle pressure. This is a game where adding Lance Jones is going to make a big difference for Purdue because he could handle the ball at full court. He's not scared to take big shots, and he pressures the basketball. He's going to be again underneath their guards a little bit. And we saw it against Tennessee when Lance Jones guarded one of their bigger forwards on the floor, swing player and connect. I think you're going to see that with Mbakwe. He's a freshman for IU who can step out and score, a 3-level scorer. And he's going to get up for a really big game, first game ever against Purdue. Assembly Hall is going to be rocking. It's going to be obviously if you think Nebraska was a tough environment, that's going to be nothing compared to Assembly Hall on Tuesday with number 1, number 2 Purdue coming to town. Both teams 4-2, and Indiana's looking for a big time resume stamped win. So this is a big time game. I'm excited already. It's going to be tough to sleep for this one. Um, they're going to get Zach involved, like I said, but Zach's going to get his. Coach Woodson is going to play to the style, in my opinion, of trying to not let others get theirs to their average. He doesn't want Braden Smith going off for 17, 18 points. He doesn't want Jones or Fletcher getting off for 15 points because if Zach gets 25 and one of those guys chip in like that, Purdue's going to be in really good shape. Huge game. And this is good for the state of Indiana because you see them a lot in the last 10, 12 years. Maybe when Cody Zeller or Yogi Ferrell were at Indiana and Purdue was down and IU was 1 or 2, they really took it to Purdue. And then you saw a 5-6 year stretch where Purdue was a top 15 team and really took it to Indiana, who was down and having some coaching turnover, to where now the last 4 matchups have been all close games. Indiana winning 3 of those and Purdue getting 1. So the last 4 matchups, Indiana wins 3. Last year it was a contrast in style. We really struggled with Hood Schifino. So the matchup on Tuesday is going to be very interesting to follow as they have new personnel, like I said, with Mbako playing on the wing, and they don't have Trace or Race or guys you're used to seeing. So Rob Fennessy. They still have Xavier Johnson and Trey Galloway. Obviously, they've played Purdue a ton. They'll be in those younger guys' ears. But then you got to look at it from Purdue's perspective. You can't lose to Indiana this year. If you're going to have a redemption run this year, you went 29-6 last year and you got swept by Indiana. Purdue, that cannot happen this year. They're going to have to be ready. And Tuesday night it's going to be an electric atmosphere. Like I said, you can't let Indiana jump out 10-2 and have Purdue take a timeout because Indiana's going to get up for this game. They need this resume win against Purdue, and Purdue needs this win against Indiana. So it's bull on bull here. So I'm really just thrilled that Purdue came out and did not play down to the competition today. Didn't play with their food. Jumped out on Penn State. Had a huge first half. Second half took care of business. Zach 30 and 20, like I mentioned. So big win today for Purdue to stay at 4-2, get to 4-2 in the Big Ten, and kind of stay in that upper echelon of the Big Ten with Wisconsin at 5-0. So this is going to be one of those games where today it could have went either way. They're not ready to play. Penn State jumps on you early. You've got a hangover from not playing well at Nebraska. It didn't happen. Purdue showed resolve and consistency and just that retention of being in big games for these kids. So they took care of business. Tuesday's going to be a different animal, as everybody knows. So Assembly Hall on Tuesday. Looking forward to that one. I think Purdue has put themselves in a position here in the Big Ten to rip off a little win streak. Getting back in the win column today is where you started, and then now you got to go to Indiana and to Iowa. I mentioned it the other night, chunking the season up the rest of the way in 2 or 3 game increments, and then attacking it down the stretch here as you get into the chunk of Big Ten play. But Tuesday is going to be just all contrast and style. Indiana's going to try to pull Zach away, and Purdue's going to try to assert him early on the block, try to keep him out of foul trouble while Indiana tries to get him in foul trouble. I would anticipate Indiana shoots the 3 well on Tuesday. I watched them last night against Minnesota. If they get to their spots and they're shooting in rhythm, they can make the 3 ball. Percentages will tell you they're not a great 3-point shooting team this year. I think the last 3 weeks they've been a good 3-point shooting team. I could look at the numbers to see if that's true, but I would say just based off the eye test, they're shooting the basketball a little bit better. They're shooting with more confidence. And, they built their team through the portal. And they've got with Ware coming in, and then they have Renew's development, and they get a 5-star freshman, and they get Cups coming in and playing. Then Xavier Johnson comes back, and Galloway's there. So Galloway tries to find his way as a role player, losing 3 of their main guys. More than that, I know they lost more players than just 3. They lost Miller Kopp and some other guys. So, but you can see now as we're 17, 18 games in that Indiana's more connected than they were those first 5, 6, 7 games. So it's going to be tough. Purdue's 1-2 on the road in the Big Ten. right? You are what your record says you are, and you lost at Northwestern, you lost at Nebraska. Nobody's going to hand you a Big Ten championship, and no one cares if you got swept by Indiana last year. You have to be ready. So Purdue's going to have their hands full Tuesday. They're going to have to focus on Purdue, execute, and play their style of basketball. So right now, all you can do is rest tonight, and you got a 2-day prep. You're going to practice Sunday. You'll start going over personnel Monday. You'll clean stuff up about personnel and what you want to do, and then you're going to be at Assembly Hall on Tuesday night. So I know Purdue fans, especially, we sat in it for a year getting swept by Indiana. That was a different feeling. It hadn't happened in a decade. So because when they lost in 16-17, they only played, or 15-16, they only played one time. Hadn't get swept since they had Zeller and Oladipo and Will Sheehy. So Tuesday's going to be big, but right now you got to get ready, get the prep in, and understand the game plan heading into Tuesday. Today I was really impressed with Purdue. Zach puts on a historical performance in Mackey. Don't take that for granted. We don't have much Zach Edey left at Purdue. He's going to probably win National Player of the Year again, back-to-back, first player since Ralph Sampson. Back in the 80s playing for Virginia. So what he's doing right now is a generational talent. He's very special. And just his ascension from his freshman year to now is astronomical. And getting to watch Zach every game, do not take that for granted. This is not normal. 30-20 and making it look easy is not normal. So hat tip to Zach for getting the guys ready today. And I want to talk a little bit about the bench play today. We'll circle back and I'll wrap up, talk a little more about the game on Tuesday. But when you can get 8 points from Cam Heide, who's playing more and more minutes, and he looks more and more comfortable with the offensive and defensive schemes, and he's ready. He's always shot ready. And what I mean by that is when the ball's coming his way, he's not catching, waiting to shoot. Like he's catching, he's locked and loaded, and he's knocking in a 3-point shot. He's shooting at a high clip this year. He's known for being a great athlete, obviously, but he's got a good-looking shot, and he shoots with a ton of confidence. He's a slasher. Actually had a really nice take to the rim that Zach just prematurely put back dunked, and they got an offensive basket interference. So Zach may owe Cam a steak dinner on that one, but he had a nice take to the rack. Then you get 7 from Miles Colvin, who just stays ready. He's, like I said in my last show, I think he's got the most potential on the team. He's got so much God-given skill. He works hard. He's got a good-looking shot. He's just trying to figure out, his role on the team, his balance in minutes, which can be difficult to come off cold on the bench and be ready to play, but comes in and gives you 7 today, was all over the place. Caleb First was on the offensive glass with a couple boards, gives you 7. Mason Gillis can obviously shoot the 3. He had a 4-point play. Those guys give you 22 points, 21, 28 points off the bench. Wow. I mean, that's going to be tough to beat. That's why Purdue has 95 today without really playing, their main rotation the last 7 minutes of the game. Braden Smith was just, sitting in the pocket passing today, gets 11 assists. Fletcher adds in 11. Lance Jones knocks in 3 from downtown. So really impressive performance from Purdue today. You didn't play down to your opponent, and you can't do that Tuesday either. Whether it's home, away, neutral site, whatever it is, you got to go in there prepared. I anticipate, obviously, a crazy environment on Tuesday. It's a big-time game in the state, especially with, what happened last year, like I mentioned before. So everybody enjoy the win for today, a 24-hour rule, and then start, preparing and getting ready to support the kids on Tuesday. So I'm going to hop off here and go hang out the rest of the day watching playoff football. But good win for Purdue, 15-2, 4-2, and hopefully can stretch a little win streak here. So keep pushing, Boilers. I will have a live show. I think I might have Chris Kramer is going to hop back on with me before the game against Indiana. We'll talk about these last couple of games for Purdue, and then we'll obviously preview the big one on Tuesday. So enjoy this one today, and Boiler up. This is Chase Chats, and we'll see you down the road, and hopefully take care of business on Tuesday.